Okay, so this is my case study 2. My name is Jessica Payne, and the data that was collected by our entire class. So the data description, we chose some very specific variables to describe the Legos to start plotting the data. Some defining traits that we thought were going to really help us out in describing these Legos to somebody who couldn't physically see them was to specify the color, the height, the shape, whether they were a special technology type piece, tech piece that um, came in certain kits, how many studs or connectors it had, and then the dimensions, which would be uh, width and length. So you get a good view of the size, the color, and the shape, and how they relate to the other pieces. So this is my polished bar chart. Um, I feel like this chart really gives a person the most information in one chart that they could possibly get. It tells the person who's looking at it that what colors they're getting and what colors they're getting the most of, as well as what shapes they're getting the most of. I did not choose to include height, width, or length on these since the unit of size could be relative. In our data, we used units, which was not a specific measurement that is universal to anybody. We just kind of said, okay, this is the smallest piece we have height-wise, length-wise, and we multiplied it off of that to get the height, width, and length. So the solid um, data that we had was color and shape, and that my chart displays that. My next chart that I did showed what shapes were the uh, highest occurrence. Also, the bars in the shapes are color coded just to give the viewer an additional representation of the data. So you can see that it's a right skewed graph of rectangles, squares, and slanted and circle shapes being the highest amount of shapes, and then it tapers off. Another chart that I did was the dimensions going in order, starting from 1 by 2 of length and width going across the bottom there, and then the height of the piece going up to 3. So you can get a good representation of what pieces are involved um, in the set. Another chart that I did was the count of Legos and how many studs they had to see which studs or connectors were the most prominent. So you have 2 studs being the most prominent and being an outlier really to the amount of numbers that the rest of the Legos had in connectors or studs. So most of the pieces either had 1 or 2 studs followed by 4 and 8. Um, and that is my data. Thank you so much for watching, and that's the end.